February 10, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. Had this big spike up in the pre-market after a drop, and then it just kind of, for the most part, you could just say it moved sideways, but there was a slight bullish bias. That's how I drew the chart. There weren't very many trades today. It was also a very, very slow, low volume day, so there wasn't really anything to try to trade. I did take one setup and I found another one, but all the others only kind of created a first entry or just not really good setups at all. There was no economic data that came out to really move the market. So hopefully tomorrow there'll be better setups and more opportunities. So I'm going to get into the charts right now. Pre-market, right before the open, you can kind of check what the volume is. And I've been keeping track of the pre-market volume as well as throughout the day. And I could already tell today was going to be a really, really slow day just because the volume was so low. And there was no economic data that was going to come out. However, it didn't make me, I didn't neglect the possibility that Trump or someone in the administration or somebody could make an announcement that causes the market to, knee jerk and flush around. So it was a really slow wait and see type of day. So this is a pre-market. It pushes up. It's above the EMA. You have a new high. It's a first entry long here, second entry long. It's bad signal bar below the EMA. No real setup here. Kind of comes down. There's nothing here, no key entry points, nothing to really try to take a trade off of. Go ahead and just do this. Creates a new low, say first entry short, pull back. It creates a second entry short. Unfortunately, it's above the EMA and the signal bar isn't very good. It also creates a new high, it's a first entry long pullback. Creates a second entry long here, but it's an inside bar. You could argue for a potential triple test right here, but I didn't like those. Signal bar was below the EMA, inside bar, just felt a little bit risky right now. Just kind of waited to see if there's a better setup that would show up, which is the top of the range, and actually creates a new low here. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. So my thinking was, because this is actually where I take my first trade, I saw it was a break of this yellow down channel, one push down, and then a potential second push down. So it's like two legs down, trying to reach the lows here, but it's also in the trading range. So I'm not sure if the trading range are dominating or the trend line is dominating. However, in real time, I see this, and I'm thinking, okay, I've kind of consolidated into a trading range. Whether it's going to make another push down or not, it's hard to argue for another push down because this push down was pretty shallow. This is only about 17 points. On another day, it would be considered pretty big, but it's 17 points on a very slow, gradual move down. So I wasn't that sure if it was going to make another push down. Then this one shows up. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short has failed technically on this candle because it's a new low, first entry short. This is where a second entry short occurs. I was wondering if I'm going to break into the range or would be a breakout pullback. So it's potential failed breakout here. It's a failed second entry short, but I don't like the way it ended. But it did make two measured legs up. On this candle, when it opened, flushed down, and then it pushed back up and closed at the high, I decided I think there's enough room for a quick 1 point scalp, but I didn't want to risk, because this candle is 10 ticks, I wanted to reduce my risk just a little bit. So I wanted to, instead of putting it up here, because my stop would be below these two double bottoms, I want to enter right at the highs of this double top. So that's exactly what I did. It actually opens, jostles around, flushes down, picks me up, pushes back up. So my stop is actually down here, still 10 ticks, even though actually a little bit less than 10 ticks. I was able to enter right at the high. So it's actually only a 9 tick trade because my 1 tick below here. It was able to flush up, take out my profit target. I moved my runner stop from below here to 1 point above break even, and unfortunately it comes back down and stops me out. If I had just made it to break even or I waited one more bar, which is a little risky, I could have moved it 1 tick below here, ideally. Then I think I would have managed it by moving it 1 tick below here. Then this candle probably would have stopped me out. Would have kept going. I wouldn't have been able to ride it up using my runner rules, unfortunately. And most of my runners, if I do get one, kind of get stopped out early. So it's okay. I was still profitable. So I'm sitting and watching, waiting for another potential setup. You have a first entry long here. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. You have a triple bottom here. Actually, no, you have a, these two are actually slightly higher. You have a first entry short, technically a second entry short, but this is just, by the technical count, a second entry short, but it isn't good contextually because the setup isn't good. The signal bars aren't good. These two bars are inside this guy, so no real trade here. Pushes below the EMA. Visually, I saw a first entry long pullback, potential second entry long. What stopped me from taking a potential trade is I needed this signal bar to at least breach the EMA to feel confident, but as you can see, it touched the highs, but it still closed below. So in real time, I'm just extra careful because technically the orange has broken and tested the lows, but it could be one break and then it could start a second leg down. I'm not 100% sure. I just need more confirmation to indicate it's going to continue going up, or I'm going to see a breach and potential follow through down. So I'm just sitting on my hands. Prices move up. Technically, I have a new low here. First entry short, second entry short. This isn't a really good signal bar. To go short, I'd be going short off a bullish bar. The EMA is far enough away, but I did have this potentially drawn as a channel. So I was thinking I might hit some kind of resistance here. I certainly don't want to go long because it made a double top here where it failed to break above. Plus the signal bar is showing it's kind of has some bearish tendencies. Pushes up. So you don't really know this is going to happen. This is a failed second entry short, first entry short, second entry short failure, but you're already pushing toward the top. Plus it's really only bouncing off this green up channel. Not enough, I guess not enough things going for it for me to want to take a long. Prices move, consolidate. So you have a second entry long here, first entry long, second entry long. It just feels a little bit congested, left it alone. Price is going to continue moving up. You have a new low. It's a first entry short, technically here. The second entry short, but it's a good doji. It's a good signal bar. It's low risk 5-tick candle, but you'd be shorting against the bullish trend, even though it's kind of shallow. So not really sure. Decided to just hang out. So you get this really, really slow, congested move going down. You technically can find second entry longs and failures in here, but it's just contextually it doesn't feel very safe. Plus, prices are really slowing down now. I do see this as a potential hidden second entry short. So prices have broken out of this pre-market high and pre-market low. So it's broken out of the range. It looks like it might be starting to go back in. I'm not that feeling. I don't feel that confident that it's a strong trade just because it's dwelled so long outside this pre-market range for so long. Because if this is on a faster time frame and these candles printed like within a few minutes, but not over several minutes, almost like I think quarter of an hour to 30 minutes, it stayed out too long. So there's too much debate on what it's going to do by traders. But I did see this. So I'm thinking it could be moving back into range. I had this orange down channel drawn. Initially, it was tighter here, and I had this as a fail breakout, but it seemed to fit okay right here as well. I liked it as a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. So I thought this is a possible trade because it's a hidden second entry short. What would make it a full second entry short was if it broke below this bar right here. So the signal bar and the trigger bar will be one and the same. Unfortunately, it made a double bottom. So if you took it as a possible trade, it is more risky. I'd have to see what the next candle does. And it actually flushes down. So then it has a first entry short pullback, pushes up, back down, second entry short. If you're more aggressive, you could say it's another key entry point here. EMA is a key entry point. So you already have two things going for it. It's just a little ambiguous here. I needed this candle to be one tick shorter or this one to be at least one tick lower. And I have a confirmed push down. So possible trade, a little more aggressive, decided to wait it out. Looking for a failed second entry long. So it's a new high, first entry long. You have technically a second entry long here. You could say it's a first entry long, second entry long failure, but I'm not that, I don't really like the signal bar anymore. I wanted I guess, a lower close. And if you see here, if I try to enter one tick below, I wouldn't have gotten filled. And after seeing this, I would have definitely canceled my order. Watching the follow through, I would have been out of the trade now, not thinking of this as a setup at this point. And let's say if you say this is a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, I don't think you would take a trade here because it's already a close above the EMA. It's a bullish red candle. In other words, it's a red candle, but it did close on the high end. So here, I wouldn't even think about taking a trade. You would have gotten filled. Let's see if I would have gotten Yeah, you would have gotten the 1 point scalp or the 5 tick scalp, but this is just would have been kind of a very low probability trade in my opinion. Prices then continue moving up. Looks like it's 2 legs up after the break, this orange up channel. So it's 1 leg up, pull back, second leg up. I don't see a clean second entry or safe entry. Maybe you could take it here, but these 4 candles in a row are a little congested, so I wasn't thinking of taking a short. I'm looking for a lower high. You kind of get one here, but it's already so far removed from the setup, and it's already breaking and pushing new localized lows that I was just weary of trying to take this as a lower high. Prices then move, it bounced. So this blue channel was evolving. I didn't really have it here because at one time I actually had some other channel here trying to make this work, but it had a violation here, so kind of abandoned this guy after a while. This blue channel shows up later, but it's not here in time for me to try to get a trade off of. The new low, first entry short, you don't really get a second entry short till above the EMA, so now it's a little ambiguous. In order for you to take a short, for me to feel taking a short is safe, is I need a lower high below the EMA. And you don't quite get that, so you do have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short technically hasn't failed here yet, but you're thinking it could fail. Here it finally does fail, but I'm not that attracted to the idea that it already pressed to the highs. So I need a new low, first entry short, second entry short failure, ideally a higher low right where the EMA is, ideally where this EMA and maybe this developing yellow up channel both coincide, then that would have been a perfect setup. Unfortunately, you don't get that. You could say it kind of shows up here, but this feels a little removed from this. This is, I think you could potentially take this, but seeing this as a higher low, I want it in this case, a first entry long, I want a second entry long now, but you don't get that. So when prices continue moving up, you only really get first entry longs here. Technical counts of second entries, but context isn't good. Move sideways. These are just too doji-ish, and they're printing very slowly because these candles are taking like 2 to 3 minutes to close and open. It just takes too long. I didn't really like that. Prices then continue moving up. Falls up or crawls up on this orange up channel. Nothing really great setting up. The new high is a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry longs below the EMA. I wouldn't go long. You can run to the EMA. Again, it just gets noisy. You have a new low here. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but this is a bad signal bar, and the follow-through trigger bar is a doji. So it's just sit on your hands. Don't try to tempt fate. You have a new high here. I was thinking I'm in a range. A first entry long pullback, second entry long, bad signal bar to go long on. If it is in a true range, because I was thinking maybe there's a range here, the bottom of the range doesn't fit quite that well. You could either say it's maybe here, but I ended up having it down here where I had a potential triple test. There was no triple test set up here because you do have 3 touches here, but you're going to be buying into the range high. So I'm just sitting on my hands again, watching and waiting. It's just kind of crawling along. First entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. This loose, transparent channel, you have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4, potentially a 5th touch. First entry short, second entry short here. I'll mark it as a second entry short, but it's too late in the day to try to take this trade because this is at 12:50, so there's only 10 minutes left. And I know usually the last 10 minutes, things can get very whippy. And I don't want to be involved in that, especially when I was already fortunate enough to get one trade today early on, and I wasn't willing to give back profits, especially when I was always looking back to the left, and I said, this is a very slow crawling day. There's no home runs today. Don't try to make anything happen. Better to, especially after the first trade, live to fight another day and see what happens tomorrow. So there's a potential second entry short here. The problem is it's too late in the day. It would have worked, and it kind of moves 2 legs up into the close. So overall, it was, as I said, a very slow day. I didn't really see any setups. In the description, I only really wrote out that there were 2 setups. The one trade that I took, and then maybe a hidden second entry short, which didn't quite set up as nice as I wanted. I wanted that 1 extra tick to push below and engulf, but it didn't happen. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow it will be a better trading day with more opportunities, but not too wild with what was happening last week where announcements were coming out left and right that was causing, I think, kind of like this really crazy whippy bipolar reaction by the market. So hopefully that was helpful.